Live with CDP Sports Talk, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And on audio via Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Anchor FM, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Radio Public, and TuneIn. Now, here's your host, Chris Palme.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Season 10, Episode 50, overall 545 of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph, Ottawa. Check out their website, barrycullen.com, for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, along with their great selection of all-electric vehicles and Cadillac vehicles as well. You can call the dealership at 519-824-0210. Tell them Chris Palme sent you, or you can email them at info@barrycullen.com. And a special shout out to Greg Smith, Matt Goldsmith, special service consultants at Barry Cullen Chevrolet, for always assisting me with my vehicle needs there as well. And Barry Cullen Chevrolet dealership has been family run and operated here in the city of Guelph since 1969. And yours truly has been a customer since 2000, 25 years and going on right now. Welcome back to Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. I took an 8-day break, which is hard to believe. I never take time off, but I hope everyone is doing well on this Friday, June 6th, 2025. And I'm excited about my guest today. This is her first appearance on our show, and I met her through TikTok. And it's going to be an interesting show with her guest. Her name is Tracy J. She is a Reiki master. She's also a psychic medium with over 20 years of experience, and her goal is to help others on their journey. And she is from the East Coast part of Canada, and we're going to bring on our guest today, Tracy J. Good afternoon. How are you?
And good. How are you, Chris? Thank you for having me.
I am doing okay on this Friday, June 6th. I can't believe it's already June.
I don't know where May went to. I'm still stuck on May. So, yeah, it's going fast.
So what part of Canada are you at, and what's the weather been like?
I'm on the East Coast in Nova Scotia and Halifax area. And I think we're going into, it's been nice, but then cold. And I think we're on the 11th weekend where it's going to be rain. So we're on a roll with the rain. We've
had so much rain here in Ontario in April, May, probably more than the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's always a balance, right? Because then you look out west where they, unfortunately they need some fur rain. So hopefully we can send some of it their way to help them. But yeah.
I didn't mind the rain in May, especially because I have really bad allergies to pollen. So the rain and the cooler temperatures kind of helped me there.
Yeah, that's very true.
By the way, I did have a guest on about a month and a half ago from your area. Her name's Selena Ella Moon. So I don't know if you have connected with her on TikTok but she's from that area and she loves that area.
I'm born and raised, so I'm very biased. But you're out in Ontario and beautiful area as well. So I mean, we live in a wonderful country, don't we?
To be honest, I totally agree with you. I've been to actually more parts of the States in my own country, but now with what's going on over there, without getting into politics, I'm going to try to visit more of my own country, and I would like to get out to the East Coast. I hear how nice it is out there.
Yeah, and well, if you do, just let us know, because I mean, we could tell you all the places to go.
Absolutely. And have you? I guess you've been there your whole life then.
Yes, I lived in Quebec for a little bit, and took some university a long time ago, but loved it there as well. But yeah, my roots are in here in Nova Scotia. So something about that ocean, right? So you gotta have that ocean energy for me.
The water. I was at a winery the other day on Niagara-on-the-Lake, which is near Niagara Falls. It's our kind of a wine country, like Napa is in California. And there's a winery that's right off Lake Ontario. And it's like, forget the winery. I want to go out and see the water.
Well, I mean, one person told me with all the trade, and not to get political, but with the trade barriers coming down, we're going to get more of your beautiful wine. I heard we don't get as much wine as, offered in Ontario. So I'm looking forward to that, you know.
Speaking of wine, red or white wine, and have you tried ice wine yet?
I have tried now. So I love wine. I tried ice wine probably about 10 years ago, but I found, I don't know if it's because of I haven't been able to drink as much Reiki, or sorry, as much of my, no, not Reiki, as much wine, but I love a rosé. I like kind of in between, more of the fruity side. What about you? Are you more of a,
I'm not a big wine drinker, but if I had a choice, I would take ice out of the ice wine. But it's
yeah,
more expensive because it's a very difficult process and everything has to be done a certain way. It's kind of actually crazy, but I kind of like the ice wine. But if I had a choice between red and white wine, I guess I would go with white.
yeah. Are you more of the dry or the fruity side? Like
Fruity,
the,
fruity,
yeah,
fruity.
I
Yeah,
would do.
fruity.
Yeah.
The fruity. But hey, since I got you on here, what's it like to live in Nova Scotia and Halifax? What makes it so great?
I would say, now Halifax has changed, of course, but I would say the people. Although there's, you know, we are definitely changing the history. Um, you know, there's a lot of great places, and the diversity that we have within a small, like in Halifax, but also in Nova Scotia. You can go, you know, downtown Halifax to experience. You know, there's a great nightlife, but it's also great for families. You know, there's great activities for the kids. There's the Citadel Hill. There is, you know, so much culture and history, and Pier 21, where a lot of people came in and immigrated from, you know, and made part of this great country. But then what I love about our province is that you can go an hour away from Halifax and be in the valley. And with the, you know, there's a lot of wineries, there's farm country, and it's just beautiful there. You know, you go up to Cape Bretons for, you know, the Highlands and beautiful area as well. And, you know, Tamagush is a place that I could spend this whole podcast talking about Nova Scotia, but I used to be in tourism, but Tamagush is also a gorgeous place to go. And then, yeah, so there's a lot of diversity. And so when you do, you know, anyone thinking about coming to Nova Scotia, you know, August, September are great months. July is good. But if you want to really get to the beaches, because we have a lot of great beaches here, August and September is when it's a little bit warmer. To the water temperature is a little bit warmer anyways, but I could, like I said, I could give you a whole tutorial on Nova Scotia.
For those people like myself that have never been there, what would you recommend for food?
What are you not allergic to? Are you allergic to seafood?
Yes, seafood. Yes,
You're allergic to seafood. Okay, I thought okay. So there's we do have a pizza corner with garlic fingers. So I know garlic fingers, donair. You have to try the donair now. If
I've had one. I've had one before. Yes.
Okay.
But
So
not from but from here. So it's probably not as good as where it is homemade.
Yeah, if you're looking for more of the vegetarian or anything like that, but the donair, if you are into that, if you're not a vegetarian or vegan, donair is definitely a food staple. Garlic fingers is also a staple here in Nova Scotia. There's there's lots of great places for seafood as well, of course. And I'm sure there's probably other, like I find if you go to Halifax, there's a lot of whatever you want to eat. You know, there's a lot of diversity in your selection. So a lot of great restaurants. And if you're, you know, looking to connect with that ocean energy on the boardwalk, there's lots of great restaurants that you can go and just gaze at the harbor and enjoy the food and the scenery. So even if it's a little bit cloudy and rainy, you know, you can take a look and take it all in.
We have a couple of viewers watching. I got one right now. Her name's Susan. She's watching on Instagram. And the other viewer, his name is Robbie. He's watching from Buffalo, New York. And he has his own podcast show too, called the 716 Sports Blizzard podcast. And he's a big supportive of mine. So I thought I'd give him a little shout out here as well.
Robbie, thanks for supporting.
Well, hey, I want to say, Tracy, thank you so much for coming on and how we connected through TikTok.
Yes. I'm new to TikTok, so I finally dived in. So yeah, that was great.
You've been doing Reiki for over 20 years. I was
Yes.
going to say, since my audience is based out of Ontario, but the show's international, can you tell us about yourself?
Sure. So I started. So I'm a I'm a mom of two, but I have a corporate world. I'm in the corporate world, in the IT world, and in non for profit in the healthcare sector. So I work with a lot of clinicians, and of course IT folks and corporate services. And then on the other side, I do what I'm passionate about is Reiki, and all the intuition, exploring that, and really when I finished, like I have a business degree, so when I finished as I was finishing up my degree, I was finishing up and I was like, something's missing. So, and I discovered Reiki. So that's how that started me on my path. So, Reiki really helps me with many things with the balance in life that we have on our demands. So, yeah, so that's kind of that's a little bit about me. So,
And you have over 20 years of experience. How much has it changed in the past 2 decades? And also, I know it helps a lot of people, but I didn't know that Reiki helps with animals as well.
yes. So when I first started in Reiki, so it's really parallel to our technology growth that we have in social media. So when I started 20 years ago, we had, your binders, there's symbols that you have to keep secret, but now you can just Google it, right? So that was one thing that was one of the biggest changes is the knowledge and the information available to everyone compared to 20 years ago. 20 years ago too, it wasn't as well known. I know my Reiki master, the late Sheila Earle. She was a federal government worker, but she did Reiki every night. And I remember her saying, I think insurance companies are going to start covering Reiki. And actually now some insurance companies will cover Reiki, depending upon your plan. And I found Reiki's well known. There goes my dog. Reiki's becoming more mainstream and more accepted compared to 20 years ago. And if you look at that in the holistic modalities such as massage, osteopath, naturopathic doctor, that's kind of along the same line as that. So I think people are more open, and also our healthcare system, they're doing the best that they can, but it's just our population patterns. We knew that the baby boomers were going to be retiring. So the healthcare, our mainstream, and this is no disrespect, it's just we have less resources. So other people are looking for more alternative therapies to complement their current treatment plans.
Reiki it originally came from what, Japan or China?
So Japan. So what happened
Japan.
was it was discovered in around 1920s by Mikao. We always call him Dr. Usui. So what happened was he was meditating. He was a Buddhist monk, and he was meditating on a very sacred mountain for 21 days. So he did a fast for 21 days. And on the 21st, so he lined up the pebbles, because they didn't have the technology. So that he would just throw the pebbles at the end of each day. He'd throw it over just to count his time. And the last pebble, when he threw it over, he felt this wave of energy coming from the heavens. And what they're saying, it's the first attunement in many years, because they do believe, even though we call it Reiki, if you look at ancient civilizations, there's always been some form of healing all throughout the world, right? So Reiki, they say that this was the first attunement in many years. And he didn't know what happened afterwards, but when he descended from the mountain, he hurt his foot, but he noticed there was like a different energy, a different vibration, and it healed quicker. And then he stayed at an inn for a day, and as he was traveling home, and the innkeeper's daughter had an earache, and this was the story. And so he just felt compelled, like, do you mind if I can just see her? And he felt compelled to put his hands over her ear, and he could just feel this burning, like this heat coming from his hands. And the symptoms of the earache subsided. So he knew something had happened. And it wasn't until like weeks later that he realized that he had this healing ability. And in a short period of time, because he passed away in 1926, he trained over 2,000 practitioners. And
Wow.
at the end, they said that he would, this is just, they call this the fire finger. He would just treat people with he would just have people lay down and he would go like that. And the Reiki would flow through and treat the imbalances of the individual. So that's Dr. Yusui's story. And I did some research because I like data and taking a look at the research and the history. And he does have a tomb. He did have 2 sons. Unfortunately, with World War II, I don't think it doesn't sound like they survived. And he did have a wife. So that's a little bit of history of the person who discovered Reiki. But it was carried on through the Grand Masters. So you'll see different forms of Reiki because there's different Grand Masters who took it and kind of, but the Usui Reiki is kind of what I know. So there's different forms.
When did Reiki approximately come to Canada or North America?
So it was probably, so what happened was, I'll give like in World War II, they thought the Reiki was lost forever because out of the 2,000, there was only a handful who survived. And there was a lady who took to Hawaii. And that was after, I think it was like after the World War. And she started training people and up until the 1980s. And I meant to write down her name because she's on my lineage. So every person who gets trained in Reiki, you get the lineage right to Dr. Yusui, if that's the Reiki that you're practicing. But she took it to Hawaii. But what she did to Westernize it, she said, oh, this is the way that Jesus heals, kind of like to Christianize it. So that would be more acceptable to the Western world. So whether or not that's true or not, who knows? But we do know there was great healers throughout our history. But she brought that into the West. And then I would say, I believe my Reiki master, she was trained in the 70s. So by when it came there, she was one of the first people trained in Reiki in Nova Scotia. And she was she was a very old fashioned, you get the training and you take your time and letting the energy adjust so that you do it right. So I learned a lot from Sheila Earle.
Tracy, for those people that are watching right now and they're learning about Reiki and stuff like that, how do they go about finding somebody that is legitimate and is there a certification for it?
So Reiki isn't regulated right now. It's not like we do have the Canadian Reiki Association.
Okay.
Now, so you can definitely go through there. I was a member of the Reiki, the Canadian Reiki Association, and in the U.S. and there's also the World Reiki Organization as well. But again, we don't, and what they do. I used to belong to the Canadian Reiki Association. And what they do, you have to, as a practitioner, you have to have testimonies, you have to show your certificates to basically give you, as part of their review process. So that is one place to start. I also tell people, before, when I haven't been treating, I do more treatments and readings now because that's just the evolution. But when you try to find your teacher, one thing I recommend is that you get a treatment from them. Make sure that you jive with them, that you like their approach. Are you feeling like after you get the treatment, how do you feel after the treatment? Because Reiki's going to, because the goal of, the whole purpose, not the goal, well, the goal and the purpose of the Reiki practitioner is that you hold a space for healing. They don't heal you, they hold space and let the energy do the work, right? So you want to make sure that you jive with the person that gives you the Reiki treatment, because they're going to teach you the styles that they do it.
For those people that are watching, including myself, when you do Reiki, is it strictly online or are there in-person sessions?
I haven't done, so you can do a combination of online and also in person. Now that's another thing that's really changed, especially with COVID. I find now it's on, people like the distant Reiki. And it is as effective as in person. But so you can do both. But right now, with the schedules, I'm doing some fairs and stuff. I haven't been doing it. I have a clinic at my home, but I haven't been doing it as often because of other demands. But I do a lot of distant Reiki. That seems to be, and I do it all over the world, anywhere from, I have a couple people from the States, from India, from Britain,
Wow.
out west. So it's very popular. And the Novus, out East Coast is very, people are much aware of Reiki. So I do a lot of local as well. So I'm very fortunate.
What's an average session time-wise?
So if it's distance, you want it. So distance, the energy is a little bit different because if you think about it, it's more of a compound treatment. So what will happen is it will flow through, it's more condensed. And so you normally do 20 to 25 minutes. Now, there's a little bit of debate in the community that, oh no, we should be able to do an hour. Some people do an hour, and maybe with the shifts, my Reiki master was very strict, like you only do 20, 25 minutes. That seems to be right now my experience, but other practitioners might say, you know what, I do an hour and the client really benefits from it. So this is just speaking from my experience. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's just my practice. So I find by the 25-minute mark, I can feel the energy lift and go, okay, they got what they needed. But other Reiki practitioners might go, you know what, they can go on for an hour. So that's them. But generally for distance, it's about 20, 25 minutes. And then in person's about an hour. I recommend an hour. You can do little Reiki boosts as well, just where like lining up the chakras, which is I'll talk about the chakras here in a minute. But if you're getting your first session, I recommend the full, like if you're doing distance, the full 25 minutes. And if it's in person, 1 hour.
For those people who do it online, besides having the Wi-Fi, the internet, and the laptop, obviously, what do they need to bring to a session that's done virtually?
Well, so what I do, I don't use, maybe I'm old school. I use my phone and I call them before and I say, look, here's the link. Go get comfy. You want to wear comfy. The only thing you need to do is be comfortable. Be in a place where no one's going to interrupt you. That the cat's not going to, because the cats love Reiki and they will jump on you and Reiki. I call them Reiki tappers. Or the dogs might snuggle up to you, right, and take some of that. They'll benefit from the energy as well. And you want to be a spot where maybe the room is a little bit cooler. You have a blanket, because generally what happens is as we relax and the Reiki energy takes full, your body temperature goes down a little bit, so you might get a little bit chilled. So you want to be somewhere where you can be comfortable and relax and with a blanket and no interruptions. And that's all you need to do. And you want to set your intention that you want to heal, or whatever you want to say, like it's for my highest good, or this is for my healing. Whatever you want to state your intention, that's all you need. And then I always tell people, do you want me to call you? I normally text, say, hey, can I call you? And I'll give you some feedback, what I've picked up. And I always do a check, like, how are you doing? And then kind of like housekeeping items. Okay, the next couple of days, keep this in mind, keep slow, stay in this, what I call the slow lane. Don't overdo it, because we don't know how the Reiki energy will actually normally slow you down and make you really kind of decompress and release energy or whatever you need at the time. So
have you had clients fall asleep on you?
All the time. I've had people snore. I've had people laugh. I've had people jerk. When you jerk, that's a good sign. That's you're releasing things. I've had people talk. I've had people not be able to, like, just kind of lay there and just feel a complete peace and maybe go in a meditative state. and have visions. They see energy. They might be, they might be visited by loved ones. They might see their guardian angels. There's a whole wide spectrum of experiences that I've had over the past 20 years, which I'm very fortunate to be part of that.
Tracy, do you find after the pandemic, that was 2 years, that your business has grown and more people are using Reiki with people's mental health nowadays?
I do find the mental health piece in the last, definitely from that is the first thing. People are stressed, people are worrying. It was always a little bit about that, but really the focus is I'm worried. I can't sleep. The anxiety piece is really coming up for people right now, but we're also going through quite a shift in consciousness. So it's almost like everything's being riled up. So it's just really important for us to keep our energy grounded and just take one step at a time.
Over the 20 years, how much would you say you've improved as a Reiki practitioner?
Oh, constantly. And when I'm 90, I think I'll say the same. You're constantly changing. The approach has been different. Before, when I first started, I would have my manual out. Okay, I got to put my hands here. I got to do this. It was very, very process driven. But now I find there's a fluidity with you kind of go with the energy, and you might incorporate some crystals, some other tools to help with the healing process. So it's definitely very much different from when I first started out. And there's also a trust there. When I first started out, and my Reiki master told me this, she goes, you're going to doubt that the Reiki's happening. That's one of the things that her Reiki master told her. You're going to have doubts. And that's part of the process as you grow as a healer, energetic healer. So if you're starting out in this business or even just getting into healing, just know that the doubt is part of the process, part of the ego. So
for those people that are watching this live stream or on audio and they're interested in becoming a Reiki practitioner, what advice would you give to them?
Really work on yourself first. So if you're really looking for your healing, it's almost like make sure we're not always going to be we're all going to have our energy that we have to deal with, karma or any trauma or anything like that. But really take a look, do some journaling, take a look, I want to do this. Why do you want to do this? And I know this, what will happen is, and I've taught Reiki for many years, students will start journaling before they start taking the Reiki course. And what will happen is you'll notice that your diet may change. You might start eating cleaner, increasing your water. You might not want as much caffeine. And that's all part of the process. So really think about, what you need to heal first. I would say take a couple of Reiki treatments beforehand and try out a couple practitioners. Also research what type of Reiki you want to learn. Usui is one type. There's a couple of different types that you will feel drawn to, and see what calls you. And then when you do go through the process, just know you're going to go through, like how Dr. Usui, as I mentioned, he went through a 21-day meditation and detox. You're going to go through 21 days detox. So if if you're going to go, okay, I'm going to start my Reiki training here. I'm going to get because it's an attunement process that you go through to reconnect to the energy. What will happen is you're going to go through detox for 21 days. So if you're going away to, if you're going to get married, or if you have a big event coming up, or if you're going, traveling or whatnot, I would recommend doing your Reiki initiation, your training, when you don't have anything on the go. You want to keep those 3 weeks fairly quiet.
Hey, Tracy, before we get to some more questions, I'm going to play a video from your YouTube channel. Where can people find your YouTube channel again, and how can they subscribe?
Sure. My name's right. Water went down.
Okay. It happens to me.
If I could sneak that in. It's Tracy Reiki and Readings on YouTube. And that's same with Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram.
And I've already subscribed. Just give me 1 second and let me know if you can hear the audio again. And this is from your YouTube channel, everybody. Please subscribe. And here we go, Tracy. Going to play your video from your YouTube channel.
During a full distant Reiki session. Well, what will happen is I will send you music in advance. And again, kind of doing a check. Does this resonate with you? And if it's good for you, then what I tell people, go lay down or go sit somewhere where you're comfortable. It's all about your comfort. So have a blanket, be in comfy clothes. If you do have fur babies or you want to be somewhere where you won't be disturbed, animals are very attracted to the Reiki. So, I mean, if you know, as long as they don't jump on you during the session, your pets more so. Just make sure you're it. So play the music, and what will happen is you'll start feeling sensations. Everyone feels Reiki a little bit differently, but you should start to relax. And you want to make sure your room is as dark as possible if you can. Again, it's just to help with the relaxation and that the temperature is good for you, so that you can kind of just nod off with the Reiki. Then the 20 to 25 minutes, and then I will do, hey, can I call you? But a lot of times people will fall asleep, which is completely fine. I love it. Or you get into a meditate state. So I will not call unless if you text me back going, yes, please call. I'll have that conversation. If you do fall asleep, I'll do a recording and tell you what I picked up. And then people will text me saying, yep, that's what I felt. Or, hey, can I have a quick conversation? We have a quick conversation. And I always tell people after you have a distant Reiki session, be very gentle with your schedule, with yourself, whether that's consuming food, with your, you don't want to have a hectic schedule, and just rest if you can. It will help the energy go in deeper and clear out things, because your body will make you settle down and make you quiet, just to help with promote healing. So, and again, the healing will be all done within you. So you have this wonderful ability within you to help push out any old emotions, anything that you no longer need. So Reiki just kind of helps hold space so that you can do healing work within, and then it'll resonate outwards. So that's Reiki in the Reiki boost, or distant Reiki in a little bit of a nutshell.
And that channel, this video was courtesy of Tracy, Reiki's and Readings YouTube channel. Please subscribe and like I have as well. Thank you so much, Tracy, for letting me play that video on here.
Oh, thank you for playing it. I appreciate it.
And congratulations on your YouTube channel. It is a lot of work to build up your audience on a YouTube channel.
It is, as you know, and likewise, it's been a little bit of a journey of testing things, and you just don't know what's going to click with people. So it's fun. My kids help me a lot. They're like, you should do this one. So
I totally agree with you. And I find the YouTube shorts are huge. I find a lot of my success on YouTube now is coming from the shorter videos.
Yeah. They definitely do, and they like to hear about. I find they like a little bit of a reading about them, what's going on with the chakra systems, or even I like to do a little bit of beauty, like a little bit of makeup, or Halloween's coming up. I know it's only June, but Halloween's right around the corner, so it's always fun to play and see what the audience wants, right?
What are some of the main benefits of a Reiki session, and can it actually reduce your blood pressure as well?
So I have had people come to me with blood pressure issues, and it has now. I always tell people, look, I am not a clinician. I don't, you have to take your medication, follow your healthcare practitioner. But the biggest benefit that I would say to people is the sense of peace and calmness that you get. It helps reduce anxiety. It helps with mental clarity. It assists with sleeping.
Which I need work on.
Well, it's hard this time of year, isn't it? Overall fatigue. And basically, I also had feedback that reduction in pain. People like with old sports injuries, all of a sudden they're like, oh my gosh, my knee feels amazing. But really connecting with that inner peace and just feeling very, the only way I could is Zen, feeling very Zen. Now, when you do have a Reiki session, depending upon what your energy is, there's kind of two different types of sessions, I would say. One is very restorative. So if you think of your batteries being low, you know how we have those batteries, it'll fill up those batteries. And depending upon what you have on the go, your batteries can run out again. But normally it stays within 7 to 10 days. The Reiki energy will kind of circle around. Then, so that's one type of restorative. And then the other one type of session, and this is something that I kind of discovered in the past couple of years, is restorative and then also a clearing. So kind of like you're releasing a release. So what will happen is after the session, the individual might think of things like, oh my gosh, that happened when I was 15 and it's really bothering me. But Reiki works on all different levels. So it's like any emotions that you may have buried down all of a sudden comes up, and basically they're working on that. And so the energy might stay a little bit shorter because you're releasing and you might need another session. So I know a lot of people will, like, they're going through very stressful times in their lives. They will come for a Reiki session a little bit more often because they know that they're going to have to release some emotions on a regular basis. But then other times it's more of, okay, I'm actually good. My environment, like everything's going well in my life. So the energy will last a little bit longer. So I hope that, I know that's a little bit of a long answer, but it's depends on what's going on in their energy, but generally 7 to 10 business days. No, 7 to 10 days, not business days, excuse me.
How often does the average person do a Reiki session in a week?
So generally, I have someone who does it biweekly, but they have a lot on the go right now. On average, I have people who come almost every quarter, like every 3 months. I need a little bit of a clear out. So that's generally what I get every 3 months. And I have like a lot of people who are monthly too as well. But if I had to average it out, I would say probably every 3 months. But again, if you have something acute going on, very stressful, it's more frequent.
Can you tell us about all the services your business provides to both people and animals, and obviously sports athletes, like you mentioned?
Yeah, I have done distant. I know people are like animals, but Reiki, animals love Reiki. I've treated children, I've treated babies with, of course, the parents' permission. But I've had people like children who have, perhaps there's an issue with they're having trouble focusing, or maybe a little bit of anxiety issue, because the children are very sensitive right now, to babies who are a little bit colicky. I've done that. I've done a lot of women who are expecting. That seems to be huge right now. And you just literally stand there, or you send the energy. It just goes to baby anyways. But expecting and also postpartum, I do treat. I have had a lot of athletes in the past, or people with old injuries. And what happens is, it helps increase the energetic circulation. So we have meridian lines. So it helps move any old energy out, any stagnant energy as well. So with animals, if you ever watch a cat, they say the cat will see your energy before it sees you. That's why cats are very judgy. And I don't mean that by any disrespect, because I have 2 cats, but they will see your energy before they see you, is the theory. And cats are very, I have to kick my cats upstairs anytime I do in-person Reiki, because they try to jump up on the table, and they want they're kind of like helping, but they're also wanting to tap. And my dog, he's laying right here, my golden doodle. Dogs are very sensitive. So I've worked on dogs who had cancer, who were palliative. I've worked on puppies that maybe had one had a paw that they hurt their paw and they were a little bit struggling, and the vet couldn't figure it out, but the Reiki kind of sorted it out. Birds. There's a beautiful. It's kind of like horse Reiki, but it's not called that. But there's a whole course on how to do energy healing with horses as well. So there's and horses really respond to the energy. They're very sensitive to energy. So I've done a lot. I used to do a lot of house calls for dogs, particularly, and going in and just kind of doing energy, especially when they don't know what's going on with the animal. And I was able to kind of see, like, okay, I think there's something going on here. It looks like a mass. It looks like it's clear, but you need to, I think you need to check it out. Again, I always tell people I'm not a clinician. We don't diagnose, but we can kind of diagnose. We can tell you where we think that the energy, where the blockages are. And it turned out that this animal had a benign tumor, and it was pressing up on some nerves. So that's what happened. So they were able to get a surgery and removed. But we can kind of see where the blockages are. And what happens is, the more you do into energy, like sometimes people, they call it energy medicine or energy healing, you can start to see the insides. And I know that kind of sounds like a little bit out there, but you can start to sense where are the energy disruptions, because it's all about finding balance within the energy, the chakra systems and the person. So you can kind of sense, okay, on this side it seems to be off and it seems to be X, Y, but again, we don't diagnose.
How often do you work with animals, and what would you say to those people out there that aren't really believers of Reiki or not sure?
Well, I mean, I work a lot with animals. We do a lot of distant Reiki to animals, but I find animals, when I do readings, I have a lot of animals that pop up in the readings. They sometimes, animals can come over and describe what they need. For those who are skeptic, you don't have to believe. The beauty with Reiki, you don't have to believe in it in order to work. And I just tell people, look, I respect them if they're a little bit skeptical, because I understand that. I would be too. It sounds hokey pokey, but what I've seen is Reiki's in the hospitals. Reiki is in palliative care or hospice care. You go down the United States, there's certain they have Reiki practitioners in operation rooms. There's something to this. And actually, there's the National Library of Medicine. They did a study, and they did find that Reiki did help increase the circulation. It was help reduce anxiety. So there's some data coming out now with studies about Reiki. We don't have anything in Canada as of yet, but I think right now, if anyone was skeptical, I'd say, use the data, but you have to be comfortable too. If you're like, I'm not into this, I'm not doing it, then yeah, that's your path. But I always say, do your research, take a look at the data. If you Google Reiki stats, you're going to see a variety of things, just like anything with when you do a Google search. But what's happening is science is catching up to this. We're seeing there's something to do with frequencies, our brain activities and how, if it's at a certain frequency, we can achieve inner peace. And that's what they were doing. Like people who are listening to certain frequencies or doing Reiki, they achieve this brain activity, this brain wave, and it relaxes them. So I always say, if you're skeptic, do your research. And if you're kind of like, oh, I'd like to try it out, do your research on your Reiki practitioner. A caution is, if someone goes, I can heal you, I would be a little bit cautious about that, because you don't heal someone, you hold space, and the person themselves does the work and heals themselves.
What are some do nots for a person or a client to tell after a Reiki session? Should they be able to drive a car or operate machinery?
You can definitely, so Reiki is very safe. You might be a little bit tired. afterwards. But what you want to do is make sure your schedule, like I said, is especially if it's your first Reiki treatment, do not have a busy schedule. You want time to relax. And I'll tell you what, when I had my first Reiki session with Sheila Earle, I lay there for 20 minutes. I go, this isn't working. I'm wasting my time. Why am I spending this money? Anyways, then it hit me and I was really tired. I was extremely tired. I went home and I went to bed, and the next day I couldn't go into work. I felt like I had the flu, and I went to a detox. So know that the energy can hit you different ways. And with me, I went through a detox. So I always tell people, and I had a client one time, a couple clients, this has happened to, like they get their Reiki treatment on Friday, because I used to work at a clinic on Fridays, and they would say, okay, I'm going to go out to the bars. Like they would get there like at 7:00, they get the Reiki treatment, and they go, okay, I'm going to go out to the bars. I'm like, oh, I don't think that's a good idea. You're going to be like, you should not drink after a Reiki treatment, because it's going, like, you think about it, your energy's so pure, and now you're going to have like a little drinky poo, which is normally fine. But when you're kind of working through the clearing and all that stuff, it can hit you like a ton of bricks. And that's what happened. She had one drink, and then she texted me. She was like, oh my gosh, you were so true. Like, I have to go home. I'm like, drink lots of water. And then she's like, it was one drink and she had to go to bed. So I would say you want to keep your schedule kind of slow, and make sure that, you don't have any harsh chemicals, any recreational, legal drugs, or alcohol.
Caffeine. What about caffeine?
You can have caffeine, but just know it's going to impact you a little bit. You're going to feel a little bit more jittery. And again, it depends on your energy system. So I would say the top things that I say is drink lots of water, be gentle herbal teas, and be very gentle. Like even like the caffeine and sugar, go easy on it. The refined sugar especially. So you want to kind of have a detox after a treat, just to help, let that Reiki go in deeper, especially where you're trying to work on healing as well. So, but yeah.
Tracy, all right. Are you okay for a few more minutes? A couple more questions?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I love. That's why I love about this show, because I learn from my guests all the time in the storytelling. So, and I've learned more from you today. Wanted to ask you this too, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, and having a full-time career on the side.
Yes.
What were some of the challenges of starting up your own business in the beginning, and how competitive is this now?
It's funny because there is. I'm just, because I had a little bit of I still did Reiki, but it kind of went. So when I first started up, but the good thing is I had a business background. I had a BA. So like, I had my business. So I took it like, and I'm a project manager in IT. So I treat it like a project. So I had no problem with the business aspect. And, my sister is she's an international, well-known psychic, named Kalina, and we would work together. So having that, that resources, and we played off each other. We used to do psychic fairs and holistic fairs together way back in the day. And we would travel to different fairs and that sort of thing. And it was a really great community where we supported each other. And you always have, you learn from each other and going, oh, did you think about this? Think about that. So in the course, and of course now we're in the social media era, and we had COVID. So COVID kind of slowed things down. It made us change our business model, our approach. But now we're getting back into the fairs, and I think it depends upon what area of the country you go. But I think there's a sense of community, of supporting each other in the holistic business. And there's always a little bit friendly competition.
Can you explain to the audience what the term holistic health and intuitive energy means?
Sure. So holistic health to me, it's an alternative health. So I think about acupuncture, massage, osteo, healing touch. And I'm trying to think of all these are all different modalities to help you to, some people, like I go to my naturopathic doctor, my osteo, Chiropractor is regulated, so I kind of put them in a different category. But I go to, and I have a wonderful, I have a couple of wonderful Chinese medicine doctors and who I go for acupuncture and for herbs. So it's that holistic health that it's a little bit different than your mainstream, your Western, your Western health model. So that's kind of what I mean by holistic. And what was the second part of the question?
Holistic health and intuitive energy. I think I have that right.
Well, intuitive healing. So intuitive kind of goes, it's kind of like where it's energetic healing, but they may bring in other like sound healing. We might use, oh my gosh, there goes my sense, like a clearing, like aromatherapy, crystals, and doing that sort of thing. So intuitive is kind of like you go in without an actual plan. It's there's fluidity to the treatment. So you go in and you start somewhere and then you watch the energy. So what will happen is a lot of times when I used to do in-person Reiki, I would close the door, have only a little bit of light because I want to see the energy. You can start seeing the energy and how it moves in the body. And then you feel guided from their guardians. So when I say guardians, it's like your guardian angel. You might have loved ones in spirit. You have all these people, whether you believe it or not, because I know there's some people who believe that and some people who don't, which is fine. What happens is I will set my intention to help this person. And then I take a look at the energy and I let the energy flow through to me. It's not my energy. It's the universal energy that's coming down for me. And it goes into their aura field. And based upon the response that I see and what I feel guided to, that's where I'll go. And a lot of times I don't know why I'm doing it, but my intention is for their highest good. So that's what I mean by intuitive.
How satisfying is it to help your clients as a Reiki practitioner and an energy healer?
Oh, I love it. It just, it's when they say, my grandmother used to say, you got to find something that puts your, fire in your belly. That's it. It's like, okay, that's why I'm here. Like, and I always love hearing, stories about, I was going through a hard time. Reiki really helped me because I was able to just, I was worrying so much and I was able to find peace. But they did the work, right? So you just hold space. And I love hearing about that feedback. Or they were able to connect with a loved one in spirit that they really missed because it was in their heart chakra. And it was really holding them back. And they were just having this heavy chest energy. And because they were able to connect with their loved one and achieve healing, they had a sense of, oh, I feel like my heart is open now. So joy. So I love hearing that. And the animals, seeing their reaction in the kids are really fun because animals and children are just very in tune. And then you have the elderly, because I've treated like people who were, they went through the MAID. Like I had a couple of clients who came for a treatment before they had, a medical assistant passing away. Right. And just a beautiful experience as well. So I had one person come in, she got her Reiki treatment, and I didn't know she was going to pass away in the next following day. And we talked about the passing away, and she had a sense of peace. She goes, when I pass away, I really feel like I'm really at peace with my upcoming transition. She said, because we call it a transition. And I had this plant in my Reiki room at the time that never bloomed. And unbeknownst to me, her son messaged me afterwards and said, just so you know, she passed away at this date. And when I went in my Reiki room, the flower was all unbloomed. So I knew that was a sign from her. So, it's just amazing how energy works and how we're all interconnected. So I just love it. And even if you're having a rough day at corporate, because I am in corporate, if you're having a rough day, just having that Reiki as a tool and kind of going, okay, I got to separate myself from this corporate stuff because I'm getting worked up. And you can do a little bit of Reiki to that email, soften it, and you'll be interesting to see the response. So it really helps you in your corporate world as well. So there's a lot of great things with Reiki.
Have you thought about maybe writing a book about your experience as a Reiki practitioner, and possibly maybe a podcast again in the future?
Yeah, I started working on because I'm getting this. A lot of people are struggling being in corporate world, and how
Oh
do you
yeah.
navigate that when we all have this inner power, like we want to do something else because but we're here on the earth play, we're here on earth and we have to play by the rules, right? To a certain degree. So it's I'm working on a book about that piece, and I'm also working on a course about the a course to take after Reiki, after you take your Reiki, like how do you set up your business, how do you build up your brand, but also too on an energetic level, your energy is going to shift, and you're going to find, like what you mentioned about what's your how have you changed, you're going to constantly change. So yeah, so I'm working on a couple things, but and I do sorry, I said do twice. I do offer on Tuesdays in the morning. Now it's early for you guys, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 a.m. Atlantic Standard Time. I'll do like a little bit of a Reiki boost, or I'll pull a card for subscribers on my YouTube page. So that's what I'm doing right now. And I'm starting to get back. Tomorrow I'm going to Windsor, Nova Scotia to do a psychic fair. Might do a little bit of Reiki, but I'm going to be more active on that. But yeah, the podcast I haven't ventured back into. We used to have Eye of the East Coast where we used to explore variety of topics into the into the mystical and the unknown. So I do want to do a ghost hunt, though. I have to say I do want to do an investigation, not a hunt, but an investigation.
Hey Tracy, if I have you back on again in the future, I kind of would like to talk a little more about psychic medium as well.
Absolutely. Yes, because that didn't come right away. That was with the Reiki. So what will happen with Reiki when you get into it, and even if you're a client, it will help you remember other gifts that you have. So that was something that kind of happened organically.
I do this with all my guests when I wrap up a show. What are some fun facts about yourself and Reiki that people might not know about?
Reiki really got me into makeup. I know this sounds a little bit like what, and self-care, but what happens is when you expand, what happens is you awaken creativity. So the sacral energy, the sacral chakra, has to do with sensitivity, or sensuality, and creativity and sexuality, but it would really help me kind of dabble into the makeup world. So that was one thing. And you can do like Reiki to your, to your face and to your heart chakra. But I use, I think that was one thing. You can Reiki your food. So I'm not a great cook. So maybe that's a fun, but I'm not a great cook, but I'll do a little bit of Reiki. Hopefully everyone gets the nutrients from the Reiki, not from my cooking. So.
What's your dog's name, by the way?
Winston.
Winston.
Let's see if I can grab him. Winston.
And what kind of breed again?
He's a golden doodle. He's more golden, but he actually came to me in a dream. And anyways, I wasn't planning on getting a dog, but he found me. He was on my parents' street and I didn't even know it. So that's a whole other story. But once you open up to, watching the signs, and Reiki will help you with that, it's just fun.
I just had no idea about the impact of Reiki with animals. I didn't know that until today.
Yeah. No, it's an amazing, and some veterinarian clinics will offer Reiki as well, and acupuncture, as particularly for palliative. It's really good for palliative because it just helps relax them, but it's good for everyone. Like I said, I've had a lot of, people who are expecting, but I actually had one dog that I forgot to mention this, that one dog was expecting, and I did a little bit of Reiki just to help during the labor process. So.
And finally, where can my audience follow you on social media? Any plans for a website? And what's the best way of contacting you directly, with email or a phone number?
Sure. So they can, if you're on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, you can find me under Tracy, Reiki and Readings. And I'm also on TikTok, as you mentioned. And the best way to contact me is probably through WhatsApp, or texting me if you're in Canada, 902-499-9214. I do have an email address, Tracy, Reiki and Readings @gmail.com. So I can put that in there as well. But definitely the text is the best way. That's where most of my clients connect with me, is texting.
And I do this with all my guests too as we wrap this up. Do you have a final question for the host, CDP?
I guess I love what you're doing. What is your overall, what is your overall vision for this channel, for this blog?
I would like to eventually get more sponsorships, continue to grow it. And you know what? You don't really have to be in a traditional radio station to broadcast anymore. Live streaming is the future of TV and radio. And I have a friend in the States that has 6 different radio shows on doing this on her laptop at home. So I'm continuing to learn every day and to evolve and to step out of a comfort zone. So I just want to continue to have great guests, great shows, and just expand my audience and my sponsorships.
Excellent. Well, I love how you're teaching others. So appreciate you letting me be part of your journey.
It's about the guests. I always make the focus on my show about the guests, and I love the storytelling aspect and learning something from every guest that comes on here. And I've had guests on from 7 different countries around the world so far.
Oh, I love it. Fantastic.
Well, Tracy, I want to say thank you so much for giving us an hour of your time today and to talk a little bit about yourself and Reiki and being an energy healer. And the next time you come on, I'd like to talk a little more about the psychic medium as well.
Absolutely. All right. It'd be my pleasure.
Well, thank you so much, and have a great Friday night, great weekend, and give me a little bit of time tonight, Tracy, and I'll send you the full video, the full audio, and I will break this down into about 3 or 4 reels and clips, and I will tag you in on social media again. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Take care, everyone.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
All right, guys, that concludes season 10, episode 50 of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, brought to you by BarryCullen.com here in Guelph. I have another announcement to make. The Argo Bounce podcast show with Nick Small and myself returns for our season premiere, season 4, episode 1, Sunday, June 8th. At 7 o'clock, as Nick and I will talk the 2025 Toronto Argonauts. Obviously, their preseason games, their training camp here in Guelph, and Nick and I are going to break down the Argos Alouettes game, which takes place tonight. Argos Alouettes opener tonight, Friday, 7:30 on TSN or TSN 1050 with Mike Hogan and Ben Grant. So if you're a fan of the Toronto Argonauts, fan of the Canadian Football League, check out the Argo Bounce podcast show this Sunday, June 8th, 7 o'clock with Nick Small and myself. And we might even have a special guest who's long connected with the CFL pop on our show as well. And again, the CFL is back in full force. Week 1, last night, Saskatchewan beat Ottawa 31-26 at Mosaic Stadium in Saskatchewan. And tonight, Argos Alouettes 7:30 on TSN. Saturday night, you have Hamilton at Calgary at 7 o'clock as well. And I will be down at BMO Field next Saturday, June 14th at 4 o'clock as a media member, hopefully, for the Argos home opener and Grey Cup banner ceremony against the Calgary Stampeders next Saturday at 4 o'clock as well. And I have another announcement as well. The next Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, sponsored by BarryCullen.com, is going to be on Monday, June 9th at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 on the West Coast, with my special guest, Nicole Blessing. She is a highly trained actress, model, voiceover professional, and a stand-up comedian based out of LA. She's a native of Minnesota, and Nicole has appeared in both regional and national commercials and also does print and voice work for advertising and film. She's done voiceovers. Nicole has done voiceovers for over 200 commercials for various clients in addition to industries and corporate e-learning. So Nicole Blessing will be on Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show this Monday at 4 p.m. And I have a whole bunch of other shows coming on next week as well. So please check out my social media pages for some more upcoming shows as well. And again, I want to say thank you to Tracy J, a Reiki practitioner and a psychic medium, for coming on live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, which again is brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out the website, barrycullen.com. Speaking of Barry Cullen Chevrolet, which is a proud sponsor of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, right now they have an employee pricing event at Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership. A 2025 Silverado LD Custom Blackout Edition lease from $178 biweekly. That's like $89 weekly at 3.9% financing for 24 months with $4,995 down payment on an ultra low kilometer lease. Includes a $5,126 employee pricing credit. More details at barrycullen.com or pop by the dealership again at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall, and make sure that you tell them that Chris Palme sent you as well. If you'd like a personalized video message from yours truly, CDP, I am on Cameo. Check me out on cameo.com/Chris Palme and make sure you book your Cameo today. Birthday wishes, pep talks, want to talk sports with me, talk to me about my radio media career, look me up on cameo.com and book your Cameo today. And as we wrap up the show, guys, as always, if you're looking to adopt a pet, check out the Cambridge and District Humane Society at 1650 Dunbar Road in Cambridge, Ontario. 519-623-7722, extension 0, or visit their website at cambridgehumanesociety.org. If you're looking to volunteer as a dog walker like I do twice a week, you can fill a volunteer form through their website, cambridgehumanesociety.org. And they also have a Cambridge Humane Society wish list on Amazon as well, and that information will be on their website as well. And they're always looking for paper towels, cat litter, dog food, cat food, any kind of treats, bedding, towels, even gift cards to Dollarama as well. And Cambridge Humane Society, the Cambridge and District Humane Society, every Wednesday does a pet emergency fund for those people that are struggling with the cost of pet food in the Cambridge, Ontario area. So if you're able to donate some dog food, cat food, please consider donating it to the Cambridge District Humane Society, who distributes that food to people in the Cambridge and District area who are struggling right now with the high cost of price. So again, check out the Cambridge District Humane Society at 1650 Dunbar Road in Cambridge, right across from the Cambridge Center Mall. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, again, is live streamed on these platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, X, Twitch, LinkedIn, and now available on Instagram. And fingers crossed one day, StreamYard will partner up with TikTok. I hope. You can also follow my website and all my content on beacons.ai/Chris D. Palme. And make sure you subscribe to my website. You can also follow me, this content creator. Yes, I'm a content creator on TikTok at Chris Palme, my new page, and make sure you hit follow. And I post a lot of content there. And I want to say thank you to my 785 followers on there. And I am able to go live on TikTok again. My next goal is to get up to 1,000 followers on TikTok. StreamYard, again, is the official live stream provider of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. If you're into webinars or podcasting, check out StreamYard.com. They have basic free plans or paid professional plans like I have. And if you're a business that does a lot of webinars or live streaming, go to StreamYard.com and contact the sales department for business pricing as well. And I have been with StreamYard now for over 4 years, and I give them a big thumbs up for their live streaming services. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, the audio versions available on these platforms: iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify for podcasters, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Spotify, Castbox, LinkedIn, Pandora, Tuned In, YouTube Music, and good pods. And please remember to subscribe and follow me on those audio platforms as well. Finally, guys, you can email the show live with CDP Sports Entertainment Talk Show at cpame19@gmail.com. Any comments, questions, suggestions, feedback, positive or negative, would be greatly appreciated. And if you like my talk show and my media work and my content on YouTube, you guys can tip the host on PayPal. cpame19@gmail.com if you'd like to support my talk show and my media work through PayPal. Again, cpame19@gmail.com. And as we wrap up this show, guys, we have a little bit of sports news tonight. We have Game 2 of the 2025 NHL Stanley Cup Finals between the Florida Panthers, the defending Stanley Cup champions, and the Edmonton Oilers. Game 2 tonight from Rogers Place in Edmonton, 8 o'clock face-off. The Oilers lead that best-of-7 series 1-0 after their 4-3 comeback win in overtime in Game 1 against Florida. Can the Oilers win again tonight and go up 2-0 before going back to Florida for Games 3 and 4? And then CFL last night, we had Saskatchewan winning 31-26 over Ottawa. And tonight we have the Argos and Alouettes 7:30 kickoff on TSN and TSN 1050 with Mike Hogan and Ben Grant. And we also have the Detroit Tigers are back home at Comerica Park tonight for a 3-game series against the number 2 team in Major League Baseball, the Chicago Cubs. Tigers-Cubs tonight, and I believe Tarek Skudra is starting for the Detroit Tigers as well. And finally, the Indiana Pacers last night stole Game 1 against the Oklahoma Thunder with a 111-110 win on a late jumper by Halliburton from the Pacers with maybe, 0.3 of a second left. So Indiana's up 1-0 in that series. And Game 2 of the NBA Finals will be Saturday night in Oklahoma, and it's going to be a must-win for the Thunder. They don't want to go down 0-2 going back to Indiana for Games 3 and 4. So again, I want to say I'm glad to be back here after a little bit of a week off, and I want to say a special thank you again to my guest today, Tracy J., a Reiki practitioner and psychic medium based out of Nova Scotia and Halifax on the East Coast, for coming on. And I want to say thank you to my sponsor, Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership, and to everyone watching this live stream and on audio. And just wanted to let you guys know again, the Argo Bounce podcast show with Nick Small and myself is back for season 4, episode 1, this Sunday at 7 o'clock. And Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show is back again on Monday, June 9th at 4 o'clock with stand-up comedian, actress, voiceover professional, Nicole Blessing as well. I hope everybody has a great night, great weekend. And also, guys, I'm going to be at the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame at 386 Church Street South in St. Mary's, Ontario tomorrow for the 2025 Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame class ceremony, headlined by former Toronto Blue Jay and Major League Baseball legend Jose Bautista. So please check out my social media pages for pictures, videos, and some interviews with, who knows, maybe Jose Bautista as well. I'm looking forward to it, and I want to say thank you to Scott Crawford, the director of Scott Crawford, Board of Directors Operation. I'm going to just say thank you to Scott Crawford, who is the Director of Operations for the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame in St. Mary's, Ontario. And I'm really appreciative of the opportunity. So again, everybody, that wraps up season 10, episode 50, overall 545 tonight. We'll see you back Sunday night for the Argo Bounce podcast show with Nick Small and myself. As always, go Argos, and everybody have a great weekend. And thanks again for watching and listening to Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership here in Guelph.